What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of U4 Eternity Season 2. This is episode 12, and with me, as always, I have Bluespit.
hmm Uh, so it pretty much continues off where the last episode leaves off is with Fushi now under the guise of the Booze Man is basically just helping to rebuild the houses around the kingdom of Renril, and of course he doesn't really show he doesn't want to show how he does it. He just tells people to put cloths over the buildings for him to demolish behind the scenes, and then just like um and then just like instantly rebuild it with his abilities somehow. Much of the episode is mainly focused on the flashback scenes between the two other characters we were introduced in the last episode. I think one one was named Hyro, and the other guy is named Messar. Um, so Messar, like it's we find out that he's an acquaintance to the princess of Renril. I think her name is Alma, and we find out
Yeah.
they've pretty much been friends since childhood, and they've been playing this almost like shogi type of game that they always played. And of course, Messar at the time had feelings for her, but he's unfortunately for him, he's only like a lower class citizen who eventually became a soldier working under the princess. And of course, that would mean that she, like if she were to be into a relationship with Messar, that he would need to become a king in the process. But it doesn't seem like he's really interested in handling that sort of responsibility.
Yeah, it doesn't really seem like he wants to become the king.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, like, Bond details about how, like, he first met Messar, and he thought that he was a son of a nobleman or something because he was at one of his parties.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, much of this episode throughout like showcases them. Well, pretty much Messar trying to convince the princess and wanting to help improve the defenses for the kingdom of Renril before the Knockers arrive, and of course, eventually he does succeed in doing so by beating her in a game of shogi. I don't think it's really called shogi, but it's similar to what um, you know what the game is. So we also get another flashback for the other character. I think his name is Hyro, which I would say it's a little bit more disturbing considering the fact and how he's treated.
I was really
Uh,
confused about some parts of his backstory. Like, I know, like, they mentioned they thought he was a demon or something because he was raised by we found out he was raised by the order. What was it? The
the Church of Bennett.
Church of Bennett, yeah. And that they were constantly like, well, they were taking out all of his teeth, and every time he would grow new teeth, they would take it out. Um, I was so confused about this. I was like, why are they doing this? Like, why are they taking out his teeth? Um,
Uh,
I don't know, maybe because of some superstition or something.
Probably.
I'm not
I-
yeah, but it was pretty messed up. I was like, and I was just scratching my head as to like why they were even doing that. But yeah, they never really explained like why. So, but yeah, he basically said he can't eat any. Of course he couldn't eat solid food, so he was just eating. He would just eat liquids like soup, and he didn't know what it was like to eat. I guess to eat solid foods. And that he also said he's raised by this one woman who he was like really close to, and he also like had aspirations of, I guess, being a knight, or a swordsman, and the woman who raised him one day gave him false teeth, which I guess was, the order found out about it, and I think they implied they had her executed or something, like
Probably. I
off
think.
screen, but yeah. And then, like, he gets a new guardian, and she explains like, yeah, we found out about this, and she was you know more or less, she says, I guess, that she was executed. And yeah, eventually he says like he became a guardian of the of one of the pontiffs, and I guess he worked his way up and became a knight. And eventually we find out that, of course, Bond recruited him. But yeah, his backstory was kind of interesting. I will say that. Um,
Yeah,
um,
it's a little bit bizarre to be honest,
yeah,
considering like how he was treated in his childhood. Um, I mean, I don't know like how someone could endure having their teeth like every single one of
yes,
the teeth extracted like that is
yeah. But it really is. It's just that sounded just so painful. Like it's just yeah, like you said, it was just disturbing. Like, and we're not really sure why they were doing. Like I'm again, like I'm assuming it's just because of some superstitious reasons or something. I guess because they're whatever their beliefs are.
yeah, I mean,
Um,
not to mention that like how he would survive with the amount of blood loss for
yeah.
extracting that many teeth from, like from I mean, there are numerous arteries and like from pulling out a teeth like
I
that.
was
It's
also
just
wondering too, like, is he? I mean, I'm assuming he eventually grew in teeth and isn't using like fake teeth or anything. Because I mean,
no,
it.
he mentions
Or,
that like they okay, so there's the baby teeth, which is like your initial teeth when you're a child, and then
right.
you eventually it's natural for you to extract those teeth before your adult teeth come out. So
Yeah.
there, so what he's implying is they pulled out his baby teeth first, and then like his regular teeth came out, but they extracted those too. So it's not so yeah, I don't know. It's just a weird form of superstition on in the part of like whatever form of religion that they're trying to follow. So it's just weird. I
Mhm.
mean, he has dentures, but honestly I don't even know if they're really that effective at times, considering the time period that they're living in.
Yeah. I mean, it's supposed to be in medieval times, so yeah, probably not. But we also get introduced to this other character. I forget what his name was, but he was like sparring with but he was sparring with him before we got into his backstory. Um, and then he overheard what he was talking about, and Fushi ends up saying like, "Oh well, don't worry, I'm going to protect you." But then he says something like, "Well, we can protect ourselves" or something like that. And I guess Fushi comes to this realization that he doesn't need to, you know, constantly be protecting people, or I guess that people can fend for themselves, and he doesn't always have to be like watching out for them or something. So, um, but yeah, a lot of this episode it does focus on yeah, Messar and his relationship with the princess because of him, him trying to negotiate with her, um, and he does, of course, end up winning that game against her. So she ends up allowing Fushi to rebuild parts of the city, I think.
Yeah, and if it's well, yeah, eventually it takes the entire kingdom to help out with the I you could say the whole deconstruction of the old broken down houses for Fushi to help build back up again. Um, though his method is still imperfect at times because you can tell like whenever someone like pulls out like an object that is like materialized in the house that it's like the whole biological slime that that goes along with it. It just
Yeah.
yeah, I it's obvious like people are gonna catch on that Fushi is just like materializing all this stuff, and of course, not to mention the fact that the Church of Bennett believes that he's dead, and this would likely bring a lot of attention towards him and into the kingdom of Renril, and complicate things in some ways.
Yeah, I can definitely see the Church of Bennett getting involved in some way if they find out about what Fushi's up to. Or yeah, well, first of all, Fushi's still alive even. Um, but yeah, we also find out at the end of the episode too that I guess like uh, Messar reveals that he is like the the princess is like I guess his stepsister is what he's trying to say. Like they said like she has a different mother or something like that. I don't know. Like I guess that he's trying to say they were siblings. Um,
So
but
it's possible it's like their half brother and sister
yeah,
through another.
yeah, yeah,
Uh, okay, I didn't catch on to that, to be
yeah.
honest. Um,
But then like Fushi asks him like are you in love with the princess, and he kind of avoids the question. But I guess they're trying to imply that Fushi can sense feelings like love now because like you see some like visual effect, and then I guess that's supposed to imply like that he's like feeling, or that's what he really is feeling towards her or something, because we know he can feel pain or other people's pain. So maybe he's starting to feel like other emotions like that. I don't know if that's what they're trying to say, but I guess that's what. But that's kind of how the episode ends. So yeah, not sure how to feel about that relationship, but I feel like they're definitely trying to imply that there's some kind of like unrequited feelings on his part.
Yeah, I mean, we'll we'll have to see
Yeah,
where this goes, but much. I mean, based on the episode preview, I think it has more or less to do with like people finding out what Fushi can do, or I guess maybe the Church of Bennett realizing that Fushi's still alive.
yeah, yeah. So these episodes, I mean, once it's after it got into this arc, it feels like the episodes have been fairly slow paced for the most part, especially in comparison to everything that happened at the beginning of the season having to do with Bond and the Church of Bennett and all that. Um, but I do feel like it's slowly improving over time. Like I am more interested because of the new characters that have been introduced. I'm kind of interested because of their backstories and just their personalities. I find them more interesting just in terms of uh like I said, just their backstories and like and all that. But I don't know. How do you feel about like what's going on in the series right now?
Uh, I mean, it is getting really slow paced, to be honest, and
Yeah.
it's I don't know. It's just like it's not as great as like the first season, and
No.
considering the fact that like they're trying to introduce these new characters, it's I don't know. I don't really feel like many of these characters, um, other than maybe the three new characters they just introduced, are really all that notable. I mean, Bond,
Yeah.
they had to get him through like a big character shift, ever since they introduced him as this like eccentric, goofy looking princely dude, and of course they
Well,
had
now he's a completely different character.
yeah, it's completely different. Um, Echo, or Iddy, whatever they're gonna end up calling her, is just she hasn't really been doing all that much uh ever since they introduced her, to be honest.
Yeah, it really feels like she hasn't had anything to do and she's just been in the background. Like, I mean, there was that whole thing about her people being attacked by the knockers, but they haven't really gone into it again. So
No.
I don't know. Maybe it's something they're going to bring up later in the series.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, as to what purpose that she will end up serving, um, I guess for Fushi, because it seems like they want to have her being like a surrogate daughter to Fushi in a ways, considering like how old he
Yeah.
is, and possibly in a way trying to raise someone himself. But it's just I just don't know where they're taking Fushi at this point.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't really know where his character is going, and especially like you said in regards to his relationship with Echo, I don't really know what they're gonna do with that either.
Yeah,
Um, I mean, if he is trying to be a father, he hasn't really acted like it at all. I mean, she's just kind of tagged along with him, and it's
no,
been pretty much it. I mean, she hasn't really paid too much attention to her, as at least from what we've seen.
yeah.
Um, so
Especially with the whole thing with initially, like after watching the first season, it's like we're having to experience Fushi's pain of losing people he cares about due to the fact that he's immortal, and the people around him end up dying regardless, whether they get killed by the knockers or die of old age. It's just now this one we find out that he has the ability to resurrect people, but as of right now he doesn't know it yet. So it's just I'm just curious of like where that's gonna lead into, to possibly by the end of the season, or maybe later seasons.
yeah, because I mean, I would imagine he's gonna find out eventually that he can do that somehow. Um,
Possibly, but
yeah,
honestly, yeah, it's because it kind of like changed up the whole thing. Like as soon as we find out about that ability.
yeah. It pretty much just takes away from any kind of stakes because once you know that Fushi can do something like that. Um, But yeah, I don't really have too much else to say about the episode. I don't know if you have anything else to say about it.
I mean, it was a decent episode. Showing off more backstory with the two other characters that we were introduced in the last episode. It's a little bit bizarre, to be honest. You know, I mean, but yeah, I mean, I'll have to see. We'll have to see where it goes, on what roles they're going to end up playing. I think, I mean, I guess in a way that they will factor into how they will end up helping Fushi in a way. It's just, I think the conditions of like why Bond recruited them is mainly to, I don't know, maybe resurrect them if they end up dying. If Fushi decides to bring them back, if and when he finds out about this.
Yeah, because like Bond did say that they were going to be like, I mean, like, yeah, that was one of the main reasons that Fushi wasn't okay with them becoming his quote unquote allies, because Bond said that they were going to be spare forms for Fushi that he could eventually use, which kind of makes me think that yeah, they're either some or all of them are going to die. If that's the way that Bond is introducing these characters.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, eventually we'll find out what's going to happen as soon as the Knockers attack Renrail City, whenever that's going to be, because
Yeah.
it's just I don't know how long they're going to go into this slow pace style of storytelling before they decide to go into that. I guess in this so-called climactic battle that they're going to end up going up against the Knockers later, because I think
Yeah, I mean, if the next episode preview is anything to go by, the pace is not going to pick up anytime soon.
no.
But yeah, guys. So that being said, until next time, we will see you all later.